each person is entitled to their opinion. Everybody has a mind of their own, and I respect that tremendously. And one of the things I have learned in this experience is that I can only control what I think and what I do. And so, in so doing, I know that all of my efforts are to be fully myself. I know that I'm much more than the sex tape scandal, much more than anything that I might be associated with when it comes to that event. But I also know that as much as I can give, as much as I can be, as much as I can prove myself to myself and to anyone else, each person is entitled to what they think. And I fully respect that position. And whether I worry about it or not, I feel is a waste of time, because there are many things that I'm here to do in my life, and there's no time to be worried about anything.
Anya Youngchi. Anya Youngchi, and I keep telling people, you know, she's my pumpkin pie niece. And I'm proud to tell you, she is my pumpkin pie niece. I've known her for many, many years. Her mother and I did our program, Dateline, together. And, you know, I'm listening to you there, and I'm feeling very emotional.
Oh, gosh.
Because I know, no matter what, Anya, it has not been an easy time for you.
It's not.
And many people would have felt, you know, your parents, you even had enough money to just say, let me get out of Trinidad, let me just get away from here, and maybe if I come back in 5 years, they would have forgotten. But you decided, I'm going to stay, I'm going to put my head in the air,
Yes.
and carry on.
That's true.
Let's just talk a little bit about, before we even talk about the reaction of people and everything. You know, when you were doing this tape, were you at any point in time thinking, hey, I wonder if this ever gets out, what would happen?
Well, you know, that's an amazing first question to ask, because when the tapes became public, I was a little bit defiant, because my first reaction was, I didn't put these out, and nor did Wyatt. And so I felt a little bit vulnerable, and I felt angry at the vulnerability that I was faced with. And so I was a little bit sort of like, I had a little bit of attitude about it, I have to be honest. So I kind of felt, well, it was me, it was my business, nobody else should know about that, I didn't put it out, etc. In full sort of reflection over the last year, which is what this year has been about for me, I can finally honestly say, when those tapes were being made a long time ago, way before Mr. and Tobago, just to clarify, I really can say now, I knew it was not the best idea.
Yeah.
And that is my honest
When you were
while
doing
I was
it,
doing
yeah?
it. While I
So
was
you
doing
were encouraged to do it, you know, and you went along with it.
I would never say I was coerced or anything. I voluntarily went ahead. I mean, it was my boyfriend.
Yes.
It was a safe place, and never considered it would he ever do it. I trusted him, and I still trust him, you know. But I do know for me, and as I just said in the confessional, I can control me, and that's all I can control. I would never make that mistake again, because I just know that it's not the best idea. And so yes, that is how I feel now.
Where were you when you heard that it was out there?
You know, it's just occurred to me before this interview that it is Rose's, your sister, who's the first person who brought it up to me. I was invited to partake in the Chogam. I can't even remember now.
The fashion show.
The fashion show for,
yeah?
yes, for Chogam, for the Queen. And as a young designer, it was a huge honor for me to be invited. And your sister was one of the producers, and she had to call me into the office and say, Anya, there's something that has come up. And I was shocked, to be honest. I mean, it sounds silly now, but I really was shocked. I did not know what she was talking about.
No idea that this was out there.
Zero. And so we went through about a month of trying to get to the bottom of it. And when nothing was being said to me, in terms of, okay, who had these things, what are they, etc., they invited me back. First I was removed, and then I was put back into the show, because no one knew what was being spoken of. So we were all completely confused, and that has to be one of the most tumultuous months of my life, just not knowing the mystery. The first time I heard anything was really actually out there was when it was on the radio that some beauty queen with 4 letters in her name, starting with A. I mean, there could not have been any more.
A-L-L-Y-S-O-N. No, it's not her. It's Anya.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I had to sort of sit down, and I was very calm.
You took a deep breath?
Yes. Because at that point I knew, okay, now it's to pull out all the strength and face it.
Yes.
At that point. I mean, I didn't really hesitate. It was just like, okay, what now?
And then you said you were defiant, but obviously something like that, because I know your family, you're a very close-knitted family.
Yes.
I mean, mommy is always there.
Yes.
Mom, even here, you know,
Yeah.
mom. Did you call mommy and tell her? Did you warn her in advance?
Before it was public, I went to my parents, White and I, together. We knew it was very important that they knew before anyone else knew. And of course, as always, they were extremely supportive, disappointed, and worried. Much more so than I was. I was in warrior mode, I have to be honest, at that point.
You're a fighter.
Yes, I am. But I know that they were concerned. And I know that from my mom particularly, she was in sort of a maternal mode of, as she will expand.
And she's always, I mean, Michelle's always been protective of her family.
Yes.
So no doubt, I have no doubt, no hesitation in understanding that she would have embraced you and said, Anya, we're going to work through this together.
We'll get through this.
Yes? How important was that for you? I mean, you could imagine the other side of it if they said, look, just pack up and get out and we never want to see you again.
Well, which is always a possibility. Luckily, I wasn't living at home at the time. No, but I trusted that's not where they would go, and I knew also when we took in front, meaning we went and told them, that also was a gesture of respect. We were petrified, of course, to tell them, but regardless, my parents, they're giants, So
you had represented Trinidad and Tobago in the Miss Universe pageant. Did you at any time afterwards, because as you say, it was something that you did and then it backfired years later.
Yes.
But once it came out there, did you feel, I have let Trinidad and Tobago down? Did they call you? Did the Miss Universe people call you?
I must admit it was not dealt with in the most professional manner when it comes to me. But having said that, the new franchise owners did have a meeting with me. At that point, we were still going to have me hand over the crown. It just was a climax at the moment that Miss Trinidad and Tobago happened that weekend. The tapes went live that weekend. It was too much, and I understood. I felt disappointed in my. So when I didn't place at Miss Universe, I felt I let down Trinidad and Tobago. Far less how I felt at this point. But coupled with the feelings of defiance, it was a real kind of like, I was all over the place emotionally. And I knew that at that point, I was now Anya Ayangchi and no longer Miss Trinidad and Tobago. I had to kind of make that distinction within myself to survive, to get through it. And that's not to say that I didn't respect what I had done in light of representing Trinidad. But I did really make a distinct separation of me from the crown at that point.
All right, there are lots more questions, that have to be answered. Sure. Coping, I'm sure there's been a lot of finger pointing, and the fact that you have been able to keep this chin up. I think, many people who've done worse things keep their chins up, and many who've done far less can't keep their heads up. So we're going to find out about these coping skills that you have, okay? You stay with us on the ball.